Music formats come and go. We've listened to vinyl records, reel-to-reel, 8-track, compact cassettes, CDs, MP3s, and now streaming services. From time to time, a format comes and goes without anyone noticing. But for this long-lost format, it broke the mold. Not only did we completely forget about it to the point that most of us have never heard of it, but it was a huge success when it came out. How often does that happen? Today, we're giving a long-forgotten audio tape format its 5 minutes of fame. Say hello to the Playtape. "1967 was an exciting time in the music world. Huge bands like the Beatles, Jefferson Airplane, the Beach Boys, Cream, the Byrds, the Rolling Stones, and the Who released incredibly popular albums that year. And besides the good old vinyl record, many were released on Playtape. Now think back to the time. For a portable music format, you were pretty limited. The average person just had a transistor radio and just hoped that the DJ on the other end would play their favorite song. The compact cassette was in its infancy and still mostly regarded as a dictation format. Yes, there were some cassette releases that year, but not that many. The 8-track was on the horizon and the 4-track already existed, but not really as a carry-it-with-you kind of portable format. The time was ripe for a breakout success, and that's where Playtape filled the void. In 1966, Frank Stanton developed the format as a 2-track endless loop system, meaning it could contain one stereo program or 2 mono programs that looped over and over. Each cartridge could hold between 8 and 24 minutes of audio. In 1967 alone, over 3,000 artists had signed up to release their music on the format. This wasn't a small-time distribution deal. These were major labels. And much like the original 45 RPM records, they had a color coding system that helped to identify the type of tape that it was. A red cartridge was the equivalent to a 45 RPM single for about $1. A black cartridge was the equivalent of a 4-song EP for about $1.49. A blue cartridge meant children's albums for around $1. The white cartridges contained 8 songs like an LP for $2.98. And finally, the gray cartridges were talk and educational and were about $1.50 each. Now, my Peter, Paul, and Mary cartridge is a black one and contains 4 songs in 2 mono programs. The player that I have is a Playtape 1200 model, which by 1969 was already being discounted. The 8-track had come on the scene, and with its 4 stereo programs, and it had taken over the portable market already. Now let's take a look around the Playtape cartridge and player. Now before we take a look at the actual player, let's look around the cartridge just a little bit. Like I say, this is one of the black cartridges, so that means it's a 4-song, like an EP kind of a release. And it has 2 songs on each channel. So that's 2 channels, both of them are mono. Now the tape is actually 1/8" tape, just like in a compact cassette. The difference is this runs at 3 3/4 inches per second. So twice as fast as a cassette. It's the same speed as an 8-track cartridge. So, I would expect the audio quality to probably be about the same as an 8-track, since we're using full width tracks here, or half track basically on this. But, nice cartridge. It's pretty small. If we compare it to a compact cassette, we see that they're about the same width. The Playtape's a little bit smaller, which may, be one of the reasons why it doesn't hold as much tape as a compact cassette. But again, it is an endless loop cartridge, so there's no rewinding or anything like that on one of these. But if we compare it to the 8-track, which was the other format that was, I would say competing with it, even though it was still kind of on the horizon when the Playtape was introduced, there is a big size difference here. But of course the 8-track does run 1/4" tape instead of 1/8" tape, so you do have the difference there. But really a neat format, and it's one that until recently I hadn't heard of. So kind of a neat discovery, I think. All right, now let's take a look at the player. The player that I have is a Playtape Model 1200, and this was probably one of the most popular ones out there. There weren't a whole lot of Playtape players available. Oddly enough, Volkswagen did offer a Playtape deck for their cars. They had a Playtape 1 and Playtape 2. They were called their Sapphire radios, and it was only in 1969, I believe. So, you know, they thought the odd Volkswagen buyers would buy an odd tape format, and it was kind of a flop for them. And they were the only car manufacturer that I know of that actually offered that. But anyway, most of them were portables like this. And the players were very, very simple. On the front of it, just a speaker, a volume control, and a channel selector, channel 1, 2, or stereo. It's a stereo head in this, full track stereo head. So it'll either play 1, 2, or it blends both together for the stereo. Now, if you play both together on a mono, it just sounds like a mess. On the side, we have the mechanism. It's very similar to an 8-track. The cartridge slides in here, and the process of sliding the cartridge in actually starts the playback. There are no other controls on here at all. On the back, we just have the battery compartment for C cells and an external speaker input, which I'll try to capture a direct audio feed of this for you as well. I can't play too much of the tape just for fear of copyright, but we'll go ahead and put a little bit of Peter, Paul, and Mary in here and see what it sounds like. There's a lot of noise on the recording, but I kind of expect that with these smaller tape formats of the 1960s. Even a compact cassette release from that time was very noisy and didn't have the audio fidelity that we would, expect. The older compact cassettes, the first releases, didn't sound much better than what this does. So let's see if we can get a direct feed of the machine and see if we can make it sound any better, give you an idea of what this thing really sounds like. All right, well, let's go ahead and play a little bit of live audio from this. I can't play much of this because of copyright reasons, but we'll try to switch back and forth between the programs to try to get you a good idea of the sound quality without hitting any copyright matches on it. Now, this doesn't have any line out on it. All it has is an external speaker output, so I'm using that, and I'm sure that's going to introduce a little bit of noise into the recording. So bear that in mind when we listen to it. And this is, an old tape and an old player. But anyway, let's take a listen and see what this sounds like. So that's switching between the two mono programs on the tape. You can hear the noise in between the track there. There is quite a bit of tape noise on these, probably just because of the formulation of the tape. And, this is kind of a new format. They didn't have much time to really improve it that much. Let's see what else we've got. If we play stereo, it's actually going to play both of those channels at the same time. Kind of a mess. So, not too bad. It's an old tape format. Now, I think it was a great idea, executed well, but technology was improving so quickly back in the late 1960s, there just wasn't anywhere for this format to go. Well, except the mail call device, but Techmoan's already done a great video on that. Now, do you remember the Playtape, or is this the first time you're hearing about it? What are your thoughts on the format? Now, that's all I have for today. But before I go, be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out over the next couple of weeks for an amazing special giveaway celebrating 5,000 subscribers to the channel. It's a big milestone for me. Now, I'm also a big fan of supporting local businesses, and Nashville Recording Supply is going to help me out with a great giveaway for my subscribers to celebrate the milestone. Now, you can always count on small businesses to be there when you need them, and they've definitely done that for me. So stay tuned for details on that. That's all I have for now. So until next time, happy listening.